To add our footer to the site, it's going to be quite a quick one for us. What do we have? So on the left, we got copyright, cool map, all rights reserved, and then on the right, we just got a couple of social media links. So design-wise, what do we have? We have a thin grey line on the top, so it's the same grey line that we have here. And then we've got a bit of padding on the left and the right. So for that, how much do we have? 30 pixels. And on the bottom, we have about 20 pixels. So I'm just going to keep a mental note of those things. So for our footer, where does this actually go? So at the bottom of the index.php file, we have this get_footer. So at the top where we have get header, we've also got get footer. And what those two do are get the header.php and the footer.php. So in our footer.php, this is currently what we've got. It's just essentially a link to say proudly powered by WordPress, and then a link to the underscores theme. So we're going to get rid of all of this content inside of this site info div, and we're going to start ourselves from scratch. So we want two things inside here. We want a box on the left, so we can have a div. We have our copyright info with the current year. So we can say, oops, did not mean to do that. Div class, and we'll give this a class of footer-copyright. And then on the right hand side, we have our social media links. And for that, we'll give those, didn't mean to do that either, a class on a div of footer-social. So, firstly, we need a copyright symbol. Now, there's two ways to do this. We could grab it just as an actual symbol like that, or you can also do this. This is called a HTML entity. So there's lots of different ones built in. You can do a multiplication sign. I think there's even a hearts symbol. Yep, see, you can do a little heart. So these are kind of like emojis before emojis were a thing, but we can do a copyright symbol by saying @copy. Then we're just going to hard code the year in for the moment. What are we copywriting? We're copywriting Coolmap, which is the company, and all rights are going to be reserved. So we don't want anyone ripping this design. This is ours. Cool. So in addition to that, on the right, we're going to have two anchor tags. And these are going to link to Facebook and Instagram. So we can have anchor tag, and we can have anchor tag. Actually, if we just make one, say href https facebook.com/coolmap. That'll be our first one. And then inside of that, we're going to have our Facebook icon. We can give this a class as well. Let's call it social link. And the reason I just typed out one is because I'm going to copy it and paste it to save myself some time. The only thing I need to change here is Instagram and Instagram. We can actually just write Facebook and Instagram in here, and then in a sec we'll just replace it with those actual images, with these icons that we have in our assets folder. So styling wise, what do we want to do? Well, in the copy.txt it says it wants the footer to be 12-point Helvetica. So just to code it up quickly, what we're going to do is to add the styles to this footer copyright div. So we're going to say padding. We're going to give it 50 pixels on the top, 30 on the right, 20 on the bottom, and 30 again on the left. You can see some things have moved around there. Then what we're going to do is we're going to give it a border on the top. So we'll say border, top, solid, 1px, and then CCC, which is the same light grey that we're using there. And then we want to do, Sorry, we want to make that CCC. Perfect. Then we want our font size to be 12 pixels. And lastly, actually, we want to be applying these to our site footer. Sorry. There we go. And we want to delete these here. Delete, delete, delete. Wonderful. Okie doke. So, last thing here is we want our font family to be sans serif. And this means if you're on a Mac, it's going to show you Helvetica, because Macs are great and they have Helvetica installed by default. And if you're on a PC or Linux, you will see Arial as your default font. So, this is looking all good. What we do want to do is to get it so that our Facebook and Instagram are over on this side and our cool mat is on the left. So, nice little trick for that is display flex and then justify content space between. So it's going to create the space between these two elements here. So between our copyright on the left and our social networks on the right. So I've just written a bit of code now. I need to remember, I need to copy this back in to my CSS. So for site footer, we want to have, remember to put a bit of space in there just so I remember. This is where I'm writing my normal styles. Site footer, we'll put the padding, the border, the font size, and the font family. So everything inside the footer picks up those styles. And then the site info, we are going to display flex and justify the content. So I'm going to give that a save, refresh the page. And that's looking almost good. We just need to replace these links with our icons. Now, the way that we can do this is if you remember last week where we linked to this style sheet that was inside of our CSS folder here. So we said blog info, template URL. This gave us the route to our theme folder. We then added on this CSS and custom.css. So we said, okay, look in the theme, look in the CSS folder and find this file. We're going to do a very similar thing for our images, which are inside our assets folder. So for Facebook, we're going to have an image tag and it's going to have a source attribute. And the source is going to point to our template / assets and then / Facebook icon.svg. So this one here. Cool. And we can delete that Facebook text now and do the same thing for Instagram. So where we have Instagram, we've got Instagram icon.svg and we can save that. Cool. So with that saved out, this is what we get. Those two icons side by side. And currently is a bit of a misalignment vertically with these two things. You can see on the right hand side there's a little bit of space. If I just whoops, don't make that bigger. See if I make this bigger and then highlight again, you can see two things. They're not vertically aligned, firstly, and then lastly the icons have a bit of a gap below them. So how do we fix this? Well, firstly, to fix the gap, what we can do is we can say display flex, and then with our anchor tags, we add a class there. We can add display block, and then on the image as well, we can say social link image display block. So by default, the reason we have those gaps there is these links are behaving like text. And with text, we have spaces in between them, and that's the reason it creates those little unwanted spaces. But by using block and flex, we can get things absolutely precisely lined up to the edges. So in addition to that, we can also chuck a margin on the left just to create a little bit of space between those two links. And then lastly, for the vertical alignment, so you see the copyright is a bit towards the top of the box there, we can use Align Items Center. You see, it just moves it down ever so slightly, and these things are automatically aligned vertically for us. So Flexbox is really great for solving these problems very, very quickly for us. So let's remember to copy this code over. In our custom.css, we have site info, align items center, and then we have our footer social. What does that have? That has display flex, and then we have social link and social link image, which have display block, and then social link has a margin on the left of 5 pixels. And that's it, I believe. So if we refresh the page now, actually I'm going to leave that space in. I'm going to zoom out to normal size. Look at the footer, keep your eyes on the footer, refresh. Nothing changed, which is good. So that meant that those changes are all saved in our CSS file. So what we're going to look at in the next video, it's going to be a very quick one, is the date. Currently we just have 2018 coded in there, but we're going to see how we can make that dynamic.